Hello, good morning everyone. Steven here. So welcome to my part 3 of my design process video. So just to remind you, in part 1 we've actually looked into where we should get our information before we start our design, like the information about the sites, the zoning, the rules. And then in part 2 we started to flesh out some ideas on how the house is going to be laid out, and we looked into where we're going to put the bedrooms, some furnitures, and we also talked about the circulation within the house. So for part 3, what I like to do is to take that floor plans and start to create some volumes to see how our design actually relates to the site. So you've seen previously that we modeled the contour of our site. So what I like to do is to import floor plans into Sketchup, scale it up, and then start to create some volumes to see how they fit on that slope here. So we're gonna do that. Going back to Photoshop. So what we can do now is maybe just save that as an image. Here we got our that would be like not ground floor, but that will be a first floor, that get top floor and a lower floor. So I'm just gonna save that image as a JPEG. That's fine. So we're gonna do floor plan concept. Just it doesn't need to be maximum. Usually when you bring stuff into SketchUp, try to keep files quite small so your computer runs smoothly. Press OK. Put it down, and we can do file, import, going to your folder, and here I'm gonna switch to JPEG file. So I get this. So you're gonna get here. You just click it anywhere, and then here is gonna ask you to scale. But for now, just do it at any scale, and then we'll just resize it now. If we go into the top view and make sure that you're in a parallel projection so everything is square. Here, what we can do is just first explode the image that you just imported. Explode it. And then regroup it. I always like to do that. Now we need to rescale that. So for now, I'm not too sure about how big my room needs to be, but I know that roughly maybe the width of this might be like 4.5 or maybe 4.2, or between 4 and 4.5. So if you press T right now, you will activate the tape measure tool. And then let's just check how wide this is. So this is 22 meters. So to resize, first you need to draw a line. So you can use the pen tool or just press L to activate it. Create a line between those two walls. So click and click. And now you go back to the tape measure tool. You click on the starting point, then the end point, and then you just retype the value that you want that distance to be. So we'll just do it 4.5. So as you can see on the bottom right corner, that's where you input the values, and then you just press enter. So now we'll ask you if you want to resize the active group, and that's why when you want to resize stuff, make sure that it has its own group, otherwise it's going to resize every object that's in the scene. Press yes, and then zoom out, and now you can see that this size is roughly about this. It will fit on this side. So now you could maybe, if you wanted to, just bring the floor plan and try to rotate it to roughly the location on the side, but I think it's easier to do it on a following the the original axis, and then create a copy, and when you're done, just place it there. So what I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna rotate this image, maybe 90 degrees. And now I can just go back to the group, delete that line, don't really need it. Now what you could do is just go back into inside the plan and just trace over your outline. If you want, you can just round some numbers. So here, start from here, we'd say 4.5, and maybe that 4.5 is gonna be here, 4.5 meters. And then I'm gonna go down here, I'm just gonna say 4. Do 6 meters. Wait a sec, because I know that we've actually no, actually for now we're just gonna do the outline first, and then I'll see what's going. This is gonna be, let's say 14 meters. Come back here, 6 meters. 7.5, and here I'm going to try to make it in line with this for now. If you want to make sure that this line is stick to that axis, you can just press shift, it will lock it, and then you can reference to that point, and then you can finish it. So now you get that surface here. What we could do now is actually no, I think it's better to create the volumes now. So now I'll actually just get out of the group. So what I can do now is just create some more rectangle on top. So I get one here, and we'll say that the ceiling height would be 2.5. So I guess type 2.5. So we got a volume for our lobby, entry lobby. I'm just gonna triple click, make it as a group, so that when we create other volume, they're not gonna stick together. I'm gonna create another volume for this area, so that's the living and dining. They're gonna be at 3 meters as well. Oh, 2.5. Triple click, make a group, and I'm gonna do another one here. So we got those volume here, and so what we can do now is just select the 3 volumes that we made and make it as a component, and we'll say house. So now that we have this component, we could actually start to place it here, so that when we make change in elevation, they can be reflected here. Because whatever you do to components, it will update all the similar component in the site. See what I mean in a sec. So I'm just going to take this one and make a copy around here. To create a copy, you can just press Ctrl, and then you'll see a little plus sign, just mean that you're going to create a duplicate. And I'm going to just click it in the corner so it's in place. Now what I'm going to do is make sure that it's parallel to the boundary. So I'm just going to rotate it. So when you have the rotate tool, click on the points, and sometimes it might not be fixed to the plane that you wanted. Right now it's correct, but let's say it was green, so it means that it's on this face here. But what you could do is just use the arrow keys on your keyboard to switch between the different planes. Okay, now you click once to lock it to that position, then use another point along that plane, click, and then now you can just rotate the object. So make sure that it locks to the boundary, and then from there I can just move it along that boundary to wherever I want it to be. So that's the thing that I was talking about. Sometimes you won't be able to have it square along boundaries, but if it's pink, it means it's actually square. I'm just gonna put maybe 4.5, and then when we got it here, maybe we can just create another copy, because like I said, when I edit components, it will be reflected on all of them. So now I'm just gonna move it so it's on the side. So I'm just gonna move it up, and because I want it to be locked to that Z axis, I'm just gonna press the arrow key, the top one. So now it's gonna be locked. So that's the arrow key on your keyboard, and I'm just gonna make sure it's about a bit above the contour side, and I'll just show you. Now if I go back into that component here, and then I start moving around, as you can see, when I click this, is actually selected the same object in all the components. Let's say I move it around, see, it's updated automatically. Okay, so now that we have that, what we can do is start to go back to the other ones. So that's the main level, that's the upper level. So the upper level will have a bedroom on top, so we'll have another volume on top of the lobby. So what I can do is just go back into here, press M to move, and press Ctrl to make a copy, and I'll just copy one on top of this. And because I know that my room is a bit longer, so I'm just gonna double click into that group, press P, which is the push pull tool, is a shortcut for the push pull, and I'm gonna use that, click on the face and maybe extend it 3 meters. So as you can see here, that's gonna make our shelter for our entry. So we got this part here, and we got another bedroom here. So actually that bedroom, we'll just use that volume here and make a copy and pull it on top. Then we have this little path here, and that's the bathroom. And so I can just take that volume, put it up, double click to go inside, and resize it maybe to here. And I'm gonna make a path of maybe 1 meter, or maybe a bit bigger, maybe 1.5. I think I'll have to push those volumes a bit here. So I'm gonna push those 1.5, and this one as well. 1.5. So now we got our upper, and Now we need to do the lower. So the lower would be that volume. What we can do is just maybe drag it up 2.5. So we go back inside the component. So we get one volume down for the bedroom below. Maybe we'll take that volume at the top and bring it down because it's the same thing. There's a path and a bathroom. Pull it down, and we got another office area here. And so I'm just gonna use this one, make a copy here, and resize it a little bit. So if you press L, give us an idea of how far in it was. So 2 meters and 4.3. So we're gonna make 2 and 4. So if you want to make some guidelines for dimension, you can just press T. You got the tape measure tool. You use that line as a reference. You click on it, and then you'll see a guideline that's gonna appear. I'm gonna type 2, and it stays there. And the length was supposed to be, let's say 4. So that's gonna be the size of our office. A bit strange. That's a bit longer, but it doesn't really matter for now. It's just to get an idea of the volumes. So now I'm just gonna go inside that volume and press P to just reshape it. So now we got our office. If you want to get rid of the guidelines, if you don't need them anymore, you can just use the eraser tool or E for the keyboard shortcut and just click on that line. So now we got most of our volumes. So if you go back to our contour, you can see it's been updated. But now everything is in straight line. Remember, in our design, we made it so that we have, let's just move that aside, like we have steps, because I already thought about the slopes, and I didn't want to have too much gap between my house and the ground floor. So what we could do now is first maybe move the house a bit further away. So what we can do now is just create another guideline and make sure it's along parallel to the boundary, and now you can press M and move the whole object. I think we're gonna move a bit, let's say 10 meters. And then I'd like to drop everything down so I can make another guideline, but now using that vertical as a reference. Double click so it's will create on the exact same spot. Press M and start to move everything down. Just want to make sure that I'm not going below the contour, so maybe I'm gonna drop down let's say 4 meters. So now just gonna try to group the different volumes. So if I go back inside the components, the house is actually divided in 3 parts. So there'll be the entry lobby, dining, living, and bathrooms. Then you get bedroom, living room, bathroom, bedroom, and office. So I'm just gonna group those 2. So I've selected those 2. First group. I'm gonna select those 3 volumes in the middle. to select those four. I think I'm just going to add a bit of color. So if you go into the material tab and the color, just going to do, let's say, red here, blue on here, and maybe gray here. Just easier to see. So I think this one is gonna be dropped, maybe 600. So it's gonna be 0.6 meter. And this one maybe 1.2. Oh, we could be going a bit further down. Maybe 1.6. Okay. So actually drop it 2.4. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea, because you can see there's too much of a overlap. I mean, maybe I should pull it back up and maybe just drop it 1.6, just like I did for the kitchen. So maybe it's more reasonable. Okay, so that's our volumes. I think what I missed now, I should have a decking somewhere here. Like if we go back to our floor plan, we got an outdoor deck there, and green roofs, maybe like another terrace and some steps here. So instead of working here, we can just go back this side here, double click to go into the components, and press the line tool and just start to draw the shape. I'm gonna do 1.5. I'm gonna press shift to lock it to that axis, and okay, so now I got that. That's gonna be the deck. If we go back to our floor plan, actually I put some steps here as well, so maybe we can divide the deck into two. So you can just do that, and maybe Control C. I'm just gonna do that again. I'm gonna make a copy. Control C, and I'm gonna delete what I just made here. And move that back along. Make that as a group. And now I can edit, copy, paste in place. So I have that shape again, so I don't need to redraw it. Make that as a group. I'm gonna drop it down so it just sits on top of the office, and I'm gonna give it some thickness. Maybe I'll just do 0.2, and I'll do the same for this one, but then I'll go down here, 0.2. I'm gonna create I think on the lower floor, that volume here needs to be in line with this, so maybe I'll just push that back inside. And I'm gonna take that shape and gonna make a copy and put it here. That's gonna be like my indoor terrace or something. Now let's just go back to the contour. So now I'm thinking about it, what if, so we got 3 stories, but what if we just take the whole thing here and then put it like that? So you'll have 1 bedroom on top, you get the bathroom, here maybe you get another roof. This is gonna be the living. You're gonna have 1 bedroom here and another bedroom below. Control Z. Because the thing I'd like to not have too much gap between the ground and the floor and the house. I mean, if it's like that, I could just add another level here. Because if I do that, there'd be too much of a gap. Okay, maybe we'll stick with that. I mean, because that's what we've designed on our floor plan. Maybe later on, when we start putting some furniture inside, we might change a little bit. So maybe what I'd like to do now is to add some type of structure just to see how it looks. So normally, I guess you will have some type of post going down. So if I were to do, use the circle tool, and maybe the post is going to be what, 200 millimeter in radius, and I'm just going to take that. Wait, I think it's easier if I'm going to put it back inside and gonna just pull it down, let's say 50 meters. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure that this post is gonna be a component. Make a component here, and now I'm gonna go back to this side here because it's easier to move stuff in a diagonal way because it used the original axis. So go back inside and press M to move. I'm gonna move it, say 0.4 in, and 0.4 up. I'm gonna make a copy and do the same thing here. Oops. And we will need another one around this side. And press M. I'm going to select those three here and move them along here. Oops. 4.5. And I'll add some more. Maybe we can just make it so it's actually in the middle of those two volumes. Yeah. And maybe I want 3 more or 2. And we're gonna do 6.1. Gonna make sure that this is aligned with the top of the bottom of that volume. Oh, as you can see, maybe actually was better so it's under here. I'm just gonna select those three and just move them along. Let's say 0.4. And we gonna do the same here, but we just need 2. So oops, gonna take those 2 here, make some copy, bring that up. And we're gonna add 2 more for here. And 2.5. Okay. Now let's see what it looks like on the context. So that's what we have. It's okay. I think here I'll need to add another platform. So I'll just take this one, paste it, copy here, and I'll make sure when you work on 3D, sometimes it's better to work into perspective, so the view will kind of be locked to the object that you are working on. Okay, so I get this, so that's gonna be my entry, and maybe we can have another platform for another volume for the car parks. So I think that's what we had here. We got car parks there and here, and the staircase in between. So we're just gonna quickly do that. Go back into our floor plan here. Triple click to go inside. Maybe we can just take that volume here. Make a copy. One here. One there. We're gonna have a staircase of maybe, let's say, 2 meters. So we can just pull that along. And I know that let's see, actually that staircase is in the middle, so we can shift everything and it's in line with this. So we'll shift that maybe that much, and then we're gonna resize that volume so it's in line with the house. Can delete this. Oops. Go back into the 3D view, and we want to make sure that actually those levels are touching the ground, so and are closer to the road. So we can just select that object, press M. When you move it, make a ground line first so that it sticks to that axis. Yeah, maybe like this, 2.5. So the car will come, park here, and then you have to go down. So actually maybe this one is gonna be a bit higher. Let's say 1.5, and it's gonna be closer to the road, 2.2. And then I guess we can, let's drop it down a bit, 1.5. So now we get our car parks. You're gonna have the staircase coming down. You get your entry. This side is where we're gonna have our staircase that connects the upper, middle, and lower floor. As you can see here, it's a bit touching. So maybe what we can do is raise all those volumes. Oops, maybe raise the whole thing. Let's say we raise it 1 meter, and then we can just drop those back down. One meter. So here we're gonna have a staircase. But yeah, now we get an idea how the volumes relate to our site. And as you can see here, what's the drop? That's about 5 meters above ground. Okay, I guess should be fine for now. So now that we have our volumes, it gives us more information to develop our floor plan further, and that's what we're gonna do in part 4. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.